Hello folks, welcome back to my YouTube channel Learn to Code by Saurav. This is a continuation video of the GraphQL. So in the previous video I have shown you how to use GraphQL with Spring Boot, and we have also seen how to retrieve the data from the database using GraphQL API and how we can create GraphQL API. Okay, so today in this video I'm going to show you how to create or how to insert data into database using GraphQL API. So if you haven't watched the previous videos, I will recommend to watch those videos first. So I will put the link in the description below and also in the I button. So without wasting any time, let's start with the video. So as you can see, I had already created this user data feature and this user's endpoint in the previous videos. If you are new to the channel, let me brief you about this. So user in GraphQL, user data fetcher can be termed as GraphQL API when you mark that class as DGS component, and when you mark the method with DGS query or DGS mutation, then it will be considered as GraphQL endpoints. So we can say this is a user data fetcher, a GraphQL API, and this is an endpoint. So today in this video, we are going to create another endpoint to create or to save user into the database. So this user service I had already created in the previous videos. So if you're new to the channel, I recommend to watch these videos first so that you will get better understanding. Now let's start the development. So let's first create another endpoint to save user into the database. So let's write public create user, and we have to create one DTO, user request DTO, which I've already created, so I'm gonna use it. And user request DTO variable, return type will be user, mark this class as DGS and a mutation. So in the user request DTO, we have few attributes: ID, first name, last name, email, and phone number. It's in here in the DTO package. Now we have to get users data. Now we have to get data from this user request DTO into this user variable. Let's create user to new populate user data from user request DTO. Let's create a private method of it. User equal to new user. User dot set first name. User dot set last name. Similarly, set email. User dot set phone number. Now from user request DTO, we will get all these values. Dot first name. Dot last name. Dot get email. Phone number. Yeah. And we will return user variable. Now we will write return statement. Return user service dot save user and we'll pass this user variable and done. This is very simple. So now this method can be considered as a GraphQL endpoint, which will be used to create the user into the database, a new user. So when the request lands here, it will get the data from user request DTU to user object, and then will pass this object into save user method, and this method will save the user into the database. Now for every GraphQL endpoint, we have to create one schema definition. So if you watch the previous video, you must have seen that we have schema.graphql files. So in this schema file, we have to define for every operations. So in the previous videos, we have created an endpoint to retrieve users, to retrieve multiple users. So for that, we have defined type query. Now today, we are going to insert data into the API. So for that, we have to use type mutation. So now let's type mutation, and we have to define in the same way as we define the method. So as we define this method signature, we have to define the same way in a schema file with a little bit of modification. So we have method name create user, parameter type is user request DTO of variable user request DTO, and return type is user. So similarly, we have to define here method name create. Let's just copy paste one by one. Create user to avoid any further issues. User request DTO variable will be first here, and then its type, and then user. So in the method, we have defined a parameter as like type will be in the left side and the variable will be on the right side, and there will be no semicolon, and also the parameter return type should be on the left side of the method. But here in the schema file, you have to define the other way. So now we are done with the schema definition of mutation. You have to define one more thing, input type. Input type is something what we will send as part of request body in the request. So in this request DTO, what are the attributes we have? First name, last name, email, phone number. ID we will not pass because we are going to auto generate it using data GPA. So now we have to just define type input, sorry, input user request DTO. That's, and inside we have to define ID of type int. So let's just copy this all because we have the same attribute as user. Indentation also matters here in the schema file, and int and float, it could be anything. So I think we are done with the implementation, and I think it should be able to work. Let's check if the application is starting or not. Yeah, application has been started. So when we send a request, first it will check this schema definition with this method definition. If it is matched, the same way we have to create in the same format, we have to create the request also. So I had already created it in the Postman. So in the user, in this request, we have to just do a little modification. This, and I think we are good. Create user. I think we should be able to work. Now let's hit the send button. Yeah, it is able to create the user. As you can see, we have defined the request in the same manner as we define in schema file and also in the data fetcher. Mutation, then create user of the method name, type of the request and the request data, and this is the response data, whatever the response attributes we want to get. As you can see in the schema file, it is the same way as this data fetcher. So I hope you understand this tutorial. So if you have any queries, do reach out to me on my email, and also you can comment down below if you have any queries. So if you find this video helpful, please do like, share and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you.